Coming up in today's program, a child soldier tells all. Animation with a Lebanese twist.
If it's not changing people...
And the Slam Poets Society in Chicago.
What's the point?
But first, Artsworld travels to London.
Hello, welcome to Artsworld. My name's Sakina Abdul Noor.
And my name is Munira Rashida.
And we're from the hip-hop act Poetic Pilgrimage. In our first film, we meet a group of green-fingered revolutionaries who are transforming London's urban, grimy spaces into flowering gardens.
This radical is preparing for some illegal action. The target, a large roundabout in South London. What he's doing breaks the law. What he's doing is gardening.
This roundabout is mostly lavender, but underplanted with 2 different kinds of red tulip.
Over the last 4 years, a group of green-fingered lawbreakers have transformed this grotty urban roundabout into a rural oasis. But it isn't their land to garden. Their leader is Richard Reynolds, part-time advertising executive, part-time guerrilla gardener.
Guerrilla gardening is the illicit cultivation of someone else's land, but normally that land is public land and it's neglected land. It's almost forgotten about by the local authority or whoever's meant to be looking after it. They're not planting anything.
Frustrated by this horticultural deprivation, he decided to take matters into his own hands.
It is criminal damage, what we do, technically speaking. But I'm glad to say that guerrilla gardeners who face serious trouble are few and far between. In the nearly 5 years that I've been guerrilla gardening, I've only been threatened with arrest once. It's not bad going.
It was in the mid-18th century, under the leadership of Capability Brown, that the idea of the English landscaped garden really took root. Gardens were not just pretty landscapes, gardens were now art. Guerrilla gardeners design and plant previously drab spaces, but is what they do art?
It depends whether you see gardening as an art form. I tend to see it more as a craft. But there are a lot of artists who are actively involved in the guerrilla gardening movement. For them, that statement, that picture, the vision of what they're achieving is all important.
I definitely see guerrilla gardening as art. I see it as a reaction to what's happening today.
It's a good way to make space that would otherwise just be looking bare and barren actually looking nice.
Instead of reacting harshly, you're reacting by beautifying an area. So I see it as art, but I also see it as political.
Sunflowers? Free sunflowers?
Here, Richard is at the recent G20 protests in London, recruiting.
Where do you think you might plant them?
I'm just going to go in Stoke Newington in our outside smoking area.
Okay. Okay, and into public place, perhaps into the...
Oh yeah, I live in Brixton at the moment, there's not enough green around there.
Many in the movement see this as a political art form, a form of resistance against governments who are failing to fulfil their duties to the land.
I suppose you'd like some sunflower seeds, would you? Sunflower seeds? My most audacious guerrilla garden, potentially the most risky, was right opposite the Houses of Parliament. 3 of us went there late at night last spring and planted sunflower seeds. We went back and weeded them a couple of times, but nobody intervened, and by August they were 3 meters high. A yellow, triumphant clump, a beacon opposite the seat of government.
I'm stood in the middle of the sort of powerhouse of how we funded the whole of London.
The lavender at the end of the summer is something we chop back, we dry out.
Then I'm part of the haberdashery division, and we spend at least 1 weekend, 2-3 weekends in October sewing lavender pillows.
Which we then sell.
Online, in local shops, to everyone we know.
And that raises hundreds more pounds for more planting later in the year.
Richard's hobby started small, local, but has mushroomed. Through setting up a website and writing a book on the subject, he found he's one of hundreds of illegal gardeners planting around the world, either as lone operatives or as teams. He has also found love.
I first first met Richard the first time I went guerrilla gardening.
2.5 years ago, it was a tulip planting evening.
And I remembered that we didn't stop talking from the minute I got there.
The tulips are actually in flower now, so that feels good.
We were planting tulip bulbs.
I think the phrase is love blossomed, yes.
Meantime, as spring turns to summer in London, this guerrilla gardener has his work cut out.
London is home to many refugees escaping trouble back home.
One such refugee was a 10-year-old Sudanese child who was forced into a soldier's training camp but managed to escape to Australia.
Near dawn, when all is still, my ancestors come to me. They bring me the taste of the land, ripe new corn stalks against the dampness of the River Nile, the sound of crackling fire, the scent of cattle, and the fresh milk that fills my belly every morning. Most of all, they bring the feeling of safety that came from my mother's warm embrace.
He a lost boy trying to get by. Every day hard, but he on his grind. Guerrilla warfare made a lay home.
I became a child soldier at age of 10. I'm one of the lost boys, and I've written a book called Color's Journey.
The families weren't given a choice. You had to give up a child, or cattle were taken, arrests made, and a child taken by force anyway.
The last day that I saw my mom was in '87, and she took me halfway to Peñado. We walked 7 days from our village to Ethiopia, and then from there she went back. So that was the last time that I saw her. She passed away. I haven't seen her again.
There were no tearful farewells. My mother simply said, "Go well." My mother didn't hug or kiss me goodbye. She just walked off into the distance. I didn't want to hug or kiss her, as I felt I had to control myself, to appear manly. To give way to my emotion might have let loose an unstoppable flood.
I became an adult at the age of 10. There was no mom to look after me, no dad, no brothers, nobody.
My first impression when we arrived at Peñado camp was amazement. There were so many children. It was a sea of little people. When we were old enough to hold a gun properly, we were considered ready to fight. If I stayed there, I knew that the need to survive would turn me into an animal. It took a long while to come to me that I had to leave, but once I decided, the need fell on me with full force.
The whole journey for me from my homeland until Australia took me about 14 years. In most cases, I was walking. My feet were really very tired. I couldn't walk no more. Sometimes we could just sit and say, no, enough is enough, I don't want to walk no more. From Sudan to South Africa, maybe 10,000 miles. And the reason why I was traveling is because I was just searching for a better place.
Throughout my journey, some people have helped me and some have turned away. Some people have been scared of me because I have such dark skin, and others see an honest man in desperate straits.
Hi Roy, how are you? Good, how are you? Have you read the book?
I met Kola 3 years ago. Kola actually started doing his book here in the cafe. I think he finished the whole thing here, you know?
You know, every time I go, I didn't have the money. He was, hey, use the computer. And he asked me, what are you doing? I said, I'm writing a book. Okay, use the computer.
Hi, Kola.
Hi, Roy, how so he was the first person I ran to and give him the book.
He used to tell me, Roy, you're going to get the first copy. You're going to get the first copy. And I always ask him, Cole, you got it? I said, no, next week. But finally, he got it. And he signed it for me.
I believe people are all the same. We are just praising God in different ways. The fact is, we just only have different colors. But the blood is the same. If the blood is the same, then people are the same.
In a refugee camp.
I just walked around one time and I came across Lopez.
I fell in love with this dude pretty much, with the story of where he came from, and I started taking him out to all my gigs. Yeah. I started introducing him to all the big name DJs at the time. I remember he was asking me pretty much from basics.
I didn't know how the system worked, and then he had to tell me, Kola, you gotta look, it says side A and B, and this is song 1, song 2, song 3, and that's how it is, you know, and that's how I got into music. 1, 2, 1, 2. The books and the musics, I see it as the only way we can be able to get connected. You know, I want to have some sort of connection with people.
I say one more time, I say one more time, I'm so worried.
I get my ideas of writing songs from all the problems that are happening around the world, in Middle East, in Iraq, in Israel and Palestine, same thing in Sudan and Darfur.
About the struggle that I've been through, I spit it for you, so that you know now. But when it's going down, make some noise, yo! Can't go back to living in a war zone.
I just want to be able to pass the message, to encourage those who are also struggling, not to give up and to keep trying.
Last but not least, I ain't never stopped here to please. Pay attention, grind makes you late, grind makes you crazy.
What an amazing story. We're gonna go for a break now.
When we come back, we'll be going from London's South Bank to Chicago's South Side to check out some slamming poetry.
See you on the other side.